Hey guys, and welcome to the next tutorial for certified ethical hacking. In this tutorial we will be taking a look into the deeper parts of scanning, that is monitoring the TCP IP protocols and connections using the Port tools. So Ports is actually a network monitoring software that displays the list of all currently open TCP IP and UDP ports on your local computer. You can do that, however, by using Nmap, but this tool is specifically created for this purpose only. So in the previous tutorial you learned how you could go ahead and open ports using the Nmap and other functions. So as an ethical hacker and a penetration tester, you must be able to actually block these ports so that any other attacker does not go through that. They should be blocked by the firewalls, and you should be able to disable unnecessary services running on your computer. You already know that internet uses a lot of software protocol named as TCP IP to format and transfer the data. So an attacker can use these transfers, and he can monitor the outgoing TCP connections, and it can have all the information in the IP and the TCP headers and to packet payloads with which he or she can send or hijack the connection. As an attacker, he has all the information of the network, and he or she can actually go ahead and create false packets in the TCP connection and send that to the victim computer. So as a network administrator and a penetration tester, our daily task is to check the TCP IP connections of each server we manage. You have to monitor all TCP and UDP ports and list all the established IP addresses of the server using the Port tools. The objective of this example would be to help you determine the list of all the TCP IP protocols and the UDP ports on your local computer. So first you would be needing to download the Port tool, so we'll just go over here and try to download that. Okay, so I'll just go over here and download it. So over here I'll just go ahead and check network inventory. So I'll just go ahead and click on 64-bit download. Okay, so these are the Port tools. Okay, so I'll just download it for the English part. Okay, English is not there. Oh, let me check. Oh, great. Let me check. Okay, language. How come there is no English language? Let me check. Okay, maybe due to some other reason I believe that the English language was removed, but I'll just download from over here. This will probably be the default English package. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and, as you can see, we have a readme part where it will go ahead and give you all the basic definitions and details about that specific part. You can also go ahead and check the changelog over here, which has given much detailed information as to what all things are there. So I'll just go over here and try to quickly open this part. Perfect. I actually have 64-bit 5. Okay, perfect. So as you can see, as soon as I ran this, I got this specific information as to these are the processes that are running in my system. And as I told you that Chrome, though it is just a single browser, it has n number of TCP IP connections open, and these are the local ports that are open through them. So this is the TeamViewer service, and so I would be needing to close most of this port, which I'm not actually going to use them. And you can also go ahead and check the remote host name as to from where these connections are getting held. This is the remote IP addresses, and these are the file versions, and this is how you can see the open TCP and the local ports over here. So the thing over here is that the Port utility is a standalone executable, and it does not require any installation process or additional DLL such as dynamic link library. Just extract the current port to desired location and just click on it. It will give you all the necessary information. So you can just click over here on view, and you can go ahead and click on HTML report on all the selected items, and it will give you a detailed analysis of all the information that you need over here. Which ports are open and from which IP address. So for example, if I was visiting YouTube, then it would give me the IP address of YouTube from where these TCP ports are getting generated and all those things. So as you can see, TeamViewer is open, the service is open, so you can just go down and disable these services using Nmap or directly through over here. So this HTML report, it automatically opens the default browser and it will give you the detailed information. You can also check the countries of the remote IP addresses by, and in order for you to do that, you have to download the latest IP of the to the country file. You have to put the IP to country CSV file in the same folder as cport.exe, that is over here in my computer, and once I go ahead and keep this over here, I'll straight away go ahead and get the information as to from which country the IP address is getting generated. In the bottom left of the ports window, you can also go ahead and check the status of the total ports open over here, total remote connections, and how much, which all have I selected in total, something like this, 2, 3, 4, and everything. So you can just, if you want to go ahead and save this current generated report, you can just go ahead and click on over here and save selected items. It will save the specific items that you want. Kerport also allows you to save all the changes and remove unnecessary connections into a log file. In order, you should go ahead and click over here and click on save selected items, and you can go also check the log changes. You can also go ahead and close the selected TCP connections which you don't want them running. It will automatically go ahead and close those services. By default, the log file is saved as cports.log in the same folder where cports is located, that's over here. And you can change the default file name by going ahead over here and changing the operations over here as to where it wants to save by default. There are advanced options over here, so you can just go ahead and check them as well. Just be aware that the log file is updated only when you refresh the ports list manually, or when the auto refresh option is enabled. So you need to make sure that auto refresh options have been enabled, and you can go ahead and check them over here. It's disabled by default, so you can go ahead and keep them. So all these connections will be as it is unless you manually refresh them or you auto refresh them. In the filters dialog over here, there's also much more things. You can go ahead and check them. So as you can see, you can clear all filters, use specific filters only. If you want only DNS cache for the host name, you can even go ahead and select that. So these are the specific things that you need to keep in mind when you're using Kerport. So there are multiple things that you can go ahead and use over here. There is also a properties window over here which could go ahead and help you out for a lot of things. Let me just check. Okay, over here, perfect. So as you can see that this is the exact information of that specific ID of this specific process. So I can just go over here and check the process ID, the TCP, the local address from where it's getting generated, the remote port from where it is getting all its information. This is the remote address from where it is coming. For example, if I have visited this google.com, then it will give me the Google's address, the path file as to where this specific file is, and from where it is all getting generated and all. This is very cool information. The reason for that is because, let's say for example, if you have a virus running in your computer, you could straight away go ahead and open the Kerport. And what viruses do, not exactly viruses, what Trojan horses or that kind of viruses do is that hackers normally go ahead and send a specific exe file if you are using Windows, obviously, or they would actually go ahead and create any kind of file that will go ahead and give them a remote connection to your computer. So once that is happened, there is no way for you to go ahead and check how to go ahead and remove this file. The best you could do is you could go ahead and right click over here, open your task manager, and check the information over here. But again, if the person is using Kali Linux, then he could especially go ahead and migrate that specific payload or that specific Trojan horse into any of this one. That means, for example, if I am using this Windows Explorer over here, or let's say for example if I am using Google Chrome, so if I am normal hacker, I would be running a payload which would be written over here, let's say for example payload.exe file. But if I am an experienced hacker, I would, as soon as I get the remote connection, I would straight away migrate that into Google Chrome. So unless I close the group, the user or someone else closes the Google Chrome, the payload would still keep on running. So most normally people don't actually migrate them into Google Chrome, they actually migrate these things inside explorer.exe, because ending explorer.exe means closing down your computer or shutting down your computer. That's why. So the best part of cports or kerports is that even though it does you won't be able to see that over here in the this part, you would be able to see an explorer.exe as a process name over here, as you can see this part, and which all IP addresses is it getting generated. So if I see that it is getting redirected to some random IP address, I could just go ahead and check that IP address, and if that is suspicious, I'll straight away go ahead and block it. That's how this cports or kerports is useful. You can also go ahead and close multiple TCP connections by selecting all of them and close selected TCP ports, or you can go ahead and also kill the processes of selected ports in case they have any processes. So you can just go over here, select one file as well. You have multiple options over here, as you can see. Drag this to the desired application. Okay, I don't know what that means. Okay, so as you can see, we can also go and disable all the filters instead of directly go ahead and banning them all over again or closing them. So temporary disablement is also there, and so that just in case you feel that some remote IP address is suspicious, you can just go ahead and disable them for temporary purposes, check them, come back over here in case they are actually useful, and then go ahead and unblock them. So this is just a simple example as to how important monitoring your TCP IP is, because this will let you know how hackers can get into your system, from which port they are getting, and especially if they're actually controlling your system, even if you at the point when you're actually controlling them. So, and most of the time what happens is that if a hacker has a payload running in your system, then probably when you go and try to check it, he will probably know that you're actually checking that, and he will straight away go ahead and try to hide that in the best possible way. So when you're actually trying to check the TCP ports, it would be better if you go ahead and disconnect your network communications and then check that, because even if you disconnected your network communications, you close down your Chrome and nothing is running, but still the payload of the hacker would still be running in the background and trying to connect to the remote address. The reason being, it tries to keep on syncing to the remote local host of the attacker, so that it can connect to every like 5 seconds or 10 seconds, because that's what I would do normally. So yeah, I think that would be it for this tutorial as of now. So just keep in mind these things and try to stay safe. So thank you for watching this tutorial, guys, and have a nice day ahead.